All right.
Okay, I think we're live. I've certainly hit the live stream. So we'll just check on the YouTubes.
Yep, looks like it. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
All right.
We are live. Well, there you go.
Nice.
It's all new. What is going
It's
on?
all so new. Well, welcome everyone.
So I take it you guys never done a live.
What? How can you tell?
Wow. So presumptuous.
dare you?
Just a
Miguel.
wild guess. Just a
Miguel,
wild guess.
Miguel's like, yeah, shout out to all my people. And you could just look the stream of like chats going on over here. He's like, yeah, okay, no, it's good. Yeah, what's up?
Hey,
like,
Michael's just joined us, who is actually more famous than me now. He's in
right.
an exclusive horology publication. Hi, Michael.
That's funny.
Welcome.
All right.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's great.
Mr. Swilco, if I'm saying that right.
Swilco, yeah. I think
go
so.
ahead.
All right, I'm going to ask a noob question. Is just Sam can see this, or can I see this too? Or are you
The
seeing
chat
it
stream.
Yeah.
Chat. I think if you open up a different window, you could be on YouTube and you could see.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
Well, hello,
Promo.
everyone. And might as well do an official welcome. Welcome to the first ever live casual watch talk. So welcome, everyone. We're joined by Miguel from SoCal Watch Reviews. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Thank you for the invite. Pleasure being here.
Yeah, we were hoping that P.Ross could join us as well, but unfortunately he's not been able to make it. So we'll catch him on the next one. We're also thinking of doing this as a regular old show. So if you guys want to get involved, let us know, because we can have up to 6 participants on this one, I think. But I might have to pony up the cash and invest.
If it works out, we'll see.
Well, let's do a bit of an icebreaker. Should we do a little bit of a wristwatch check?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right.
Okay, Miguel, you're the guest. You go for it.
Oh, I'm a guest. All right. Well, today I am wearing, I don't know if you guys could see it. It's the Orient Mako 2, fully customized. I just did a video on this. So, sapphire crystal, ceramic insert on this coin edge bezel. Shout out to Crystal Times and Irvine. And then straps go for the awesome stainless steel strap. So it completely changed the watch. When I first got it, I was not a fan of it. I was very kind of underwhelmed by it. I was like, how is this so popular? But I mean, in-house movement and everything they give you, I get it. But once I changed a few things on it, I'm in love with it. So
Nice.
Yeah, I like those. I had a Orient Mako, and I made a review of it, and I called it the Mako because I'm from the north of England.
The
And
Mako.
people kept complaining, it's the Mako, and I'm like, if I said Mako in my accent, I'd sound like a right posh git. I've got the Orient Mako, whereas and also people don't like the way I say khaki either. They're like, it's actually khaki. I'm like, which sounds perfectly fine in an American accent, but I think, sorry, I mean, a normal accent
in an American accent.
In an American accent.
Yes.
But so people always hitting me up this, and I had to change. Yeah, I was saying Omega. I had to change it to Omega.
Say however you want it, man.
Yeah. There was one.
People... Oh, sorry. Go on, Chris.
No. There was one show we did a while ago where I think you could have made a drinking game out of it. You could, because you would pronounce something. You would pronounce something a certain way, and then you like flipped back, and then you flipped it. At like 3 times. I think what was it like? You're saying
was it Omega?
Yeah, Omega. Richard Mill is another one. You gotta watch out for
Richard Mille. I don't know if people pronounce
Richard
Yeah.
Mille. Who cares? People on YouTube and all social media platforms are so judgmental. I mean, it's like, look, if you're gonna be so judgmental and have the to put a comment and do something, then do your own thing. Send us a link and let's be the judge of your work and see how you like it, because you wouldn't like it, So
and I tell you who does a good one of this, but he hardly ever makes content anymore, is Alessandro from, it used to be Slender Wrist. He did a whole thing where he pronounced the French Swiss names correctly. That. He really helped me out, because I interviewed FX from Ulysse Nardin. And so, I was like, I am going to screw this up when I speak to him, but I managed to watch that back. Well, we'll go on to Chris, but before that, can you see we should say some hi to a few people. So we said hi to Michael.
Omar's
Romy,
here.
Nice. Oh, Omar. Yep.
Yeah.
That's timeless
sneakers and
sneakers
watches. He's a buddy.
Oh,
of
I
mine,
haven't
yeah.
got my Skechers on that look like Air Jordan 1s. I wish I had those on. I could have,
He would
I could have shown
roast
them.
me so much.
My Jordan Force 1s. So hi everyone. Well, Chris, do you want to do a little bit of a wristwatch check?
Wristwatch check, yes. So today, summer watch, Friday summer watch. Got the Zin 104 white dial on just a heavy, fun rubber strap, and this one has just been the pick of the pandemic. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. The pick of the I was a pickup like mid-pandemic, and I was nervous because it was right when everybody was buying everything online, and so we were making bad decisions about everything. We're like, oh, I need 300 of those. Why don't you just
Yeah.
And so I was like, I just happened to have it up, and like I was on eBay find whatever. And a good thing I had the wife buy in. That's important. And so the wife was like, I was like, do you like the white dial or the black dial? And she was like, oh, I really like the white dial. And I was like, make an offer. And then it showed up. And so
let me ask you something. Did you go through the eBay program that they have, the authentication thing or whatever? Was it in place already, or?
It was in place. Got it for way less than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow,
So
now
this
I'm curious to know.
was 700. 700.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yep.
Wow. How's it running? Is it running good?
It's regulated. Perfect. It's perfect.
Salida.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Salida, and it's got the I've got pictures on my Instagram. It's got the gold rotor in the back, so it's not but it looks super good. But it was a surprise. I've had some experience with the older Zins. And so to pick that one up, it's just like I was like, "Oof, this thing runs like a champ." Thanks.
Well, I'll top this off. A new pickup for me is the old Ward. So first, I reviewed a few on the channel. I did tease it, and I managed to pick one up. They had that great sale the other day. So I think I got it for just less than $700, and I think they're normally $900 or so. But so it's the blue. Do you know what? As well, in a couple of reviews, I always talk about Christopher Ward watches being larger, but this one's a 40 mil. They do this in 3 different sizes. I didn't realize they did that they did the divers in 3 different sizes. I thought they were 42, and that was, you pay your money, you take your chance type of thing. But
I didn't know.
These bracelets, bloody fantastic. These. These push button.
And this was a returned. This was a service.
I think that's what they are. I think they're reconditioned. I think they're returns or reconditions. But really, really like it. So I've reviewed 3 or 4 on the channel. No, I've reviewed 2 properly, but I've held 3 before. But now I own one. British. Wow. Also, you can't tell that the Christopher Ward logo is on there. It's actually here, so it's not that obvious. I know when we film everything in macro, people aren't a huge fan of the old Christopher Ward name on the watch, but you can't see it in real life, and spot on. But anyway,
nice. And actually, I had a question. Flipping back to the Crystal Times, Miguel, did you have that mod? Did you do it?
Man. So check it out. So it's the craziest thing happened to me, right? So I got this watch in an Islander from Levi. He was been on the podcast, and it's crazy, right? So you go through this journey, this watch collecting journey in YouTube and whatnot, and you become friends with the most random people that you're like, I never would have been your friend or even talked to you, but because of this hobby, it's crazy how we're all brought together. So anyways, long story short, he was on the show. And he's like, I want to send you something. And I was like, you don't have to send me anything, but okay, cool. I appreciate it. He ended up sending me 2 watches, this one and the Islander, for free. He's just, I want to give them to you. And I was like, that is very generous. I appreciate it. So I got this watch. I'm like, how come you didn't like it? And he's like, you know what? As I got into different micro brands and different things, I realized that this Orient is very basic. It's for like an entry level collector. But maybe you could review it on your channel, give it away or whatever. So I got it, and I felt the same way he did, share the same sentiment. I was like, you know what? It is not that great. what can I do to improve it before I do a review and just completely bash it? Let me have a plan of attack here. So I've heard of Crystal Times, of course, being in California, and I'm like, you know what? Let me check out their website. So I reached out to the owner or to their Instagram, and I got in touch with the owner. And I told him my plans. I said, this is what I got. This is what happened. This is what I want to do. He said, you know what? Let me sponsor that for you. I'll send you the parts. So of course I had no idea how to mod anything. I've changed the battery 2 times on a watch. That's about it. So I got this watch. I'm like, how hard can it be? Holy smokes. It took me 2 days to take off the bezel. 2 days.
Well, let's say we'll give him a bit of a plug here. Now I'm doing, now I'm like an old pro at this live stream. We could do a bit of do a bit of screen sharing there, can't we? So we'll do a little shout out to them.
Yeah, man. But anyway, so when you look at my video, what I did, I wanted to take the approach of, I'm like, I am no expert. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I cannot go step by step on how to change your bezel because I am going to destroy other people's watches. So how do I go about this? And I'm like, you know what? The new thing on not so much maybe the watch hobby or watch part of YouTube, but B-roll has become a big thing in the cinematography world that I follow, and it's really cool cinematic B-roll that you know the camera pans out and it goes up and it goes slow motion and fast motion and it's super cool. But I've never really done that, so I'm like, why don't I try to mimic that a little bit, doing the mod without showing people step by step, but still showing them how I did the mod. So it took a long time to record, but the outcome was awesome. I do not trust this watch in water. I don't think I did a great job. I don't think it's water resistant. I have no idea, but it looks cool.
But it looks good. Yeah, I can remember the first time I pulled the bezel off the turtle, and I needed they're like, oh yeah, you just take a bezel knife, and like they show, you show someone on YouTube that's done it 1,000 times, it's like, and it's like off, and you're like, oh yeah, exactly. And then I was like, hey, that's not. So then I've got like Kapton tape, and I've got like blue tape on it, and I've resorted to razor blades, and now I'm like jamming razor blades in to like build up the edge so I can like just get it started. And I'm like,
that's what I did.
Mother of God. And good thing, like you pointed out, I do this with my car building videos. They're like, whenever I do like welding, or if I do like any sort of skill stuff, I'm like, there's 1,000 YouTube videos to show you how to weld. That's not this channel. So here's a cut of like sparks happening, and then like after I've ground it down, because I'm not showing you my bad weld.
And make it look so easy, right?
Yeah,
my God, that's super simple. He did it in 3 minutes.
That's great.
Well, should we have a little bit of I see TJ's joined. Hi TJ. Lawrence has joined. Hello, welcome everyone. Well, should we kick it off with a bit of some news stories, some bit of horology, bit of casual watch talk? The first one I think we've got to talk about, and I'll do a shout out to Michael here, who's just joined. He actually went to this event and sent some pictures of it, but I want to talk about the watch that they released. So there was up in my old neck of the woods and your guys' neck of the woods, the South Coast Plaza opened a TAG Heuer AD. So there he is. There's our own our Facebook group's own Michael in the background there. But what I wanted to get your guys' view on is not necessarily the TAG Heuer boutique there, but the actual watch that is making the rounds here. What do you think of this the Super Mario Connect?
Man.
Sold out, of course. Limited edition because like Nintendo completely ran out of Super Marios.
Well, the question that I have is, who really bought the watch? Was it real watch enthusiasts, or was it just people that think TAG Heuer is cool, or the Nintendo aficionados? Because me, as a watch collector, as a watch lover, I look at this as a joke, right? And I see how TAG is moving into the digital market, because obviously the Apple Watch outsold the Swiss watch industry, and it's a known fact, right? Because most of the people that don't even care about watches wear an Apple Watch. So maybe this is where TAG Heuer is headed. However, at $2,300, I mean, in my opinion, it's kind of pricey. I don't know much about the details on what operating system is using and whatnot, but I've heard that some of the TAGs, the older ones, are even operating on like older systems that it's just like kind of not worth it.
Yeah, they had, I don't think Mario, I mean, Michael might be able to, if he actually saw one of these live, but I don't think it plays a game. I think Mario is to do with the fitness. So the more that you're active, the more he's active. It's like an interactive. I don't think there's an actual Super Mario game on it. I could be wrong. But yeah, you're right, Miguel. The first time they ever did these TAG Connected they were the first. I think they were the first non-technology brand, so not Apple or Samsung. They basically the module you could take it out, because I know a friend of mine, James, he's got one, and they actually, when you originally bought it, they said, look, if you hate this after a year, we'll sell you a mechanical module to fit into it. So they would actually take the computer module out of it, the smartwatch module, and put the mechanical in there. I wonder, we would never be able to find out, but it'd be interesting to know how many people actually did that, I think. But yeah, I mean, you've got, LVMH, Louis Vuitton's doing one now, aren't they? Hublot, obviously, their Euro Cup was a smartwatch. But
it felt like, again, is very similar to the Street Fighter Seiko, which maybe feels like even closer. Like Street Fighter goes like, all right, well, that's okay, maybe, but it felt like that same sort of like, where is the audience? What audience are we going after? Because it's like watch aficionados, Super Mario, crazy, grew up with Nintendo, like we all probably did. Okay, yes, but you have to be super into that. So yeah, it's very strange sort of, and for that prestige, like that brand recognition, I mean, I think is good, but yeah, very not. I don't think it's marketed to us, is what I think.
No, absolutely not. I mean, one cool feature would be if the actual Super Mario loses weight with you, right? And you get skinnier and slimmer. Just kidding. Well, I mean, what's the point of having a fitness guy and he looks fat all the time, right?
Well, yeah, but it's funny. I know I'm talking about Michael in the third person. He's in the chat. I should have got him to join, but he took some pictures of the other displays. And what I've noticed now is for the watch, the Ortavia now, they've just got a picture of a guy on a bike. Thankfully, they're not using Steve McQueen's image anymore, because Steve McQueen never wore a tag. That was like my thing with tag. Like, why were they always using Steve McQueen's image for the last 30 years? He wore a Hanhart watch and a Rolex. Like, he wore a tag in the film,
in the movie,
Le Mans, and it was a Hoya anyway. It was way before Tag bought them. But anyway, it was so at least they're kind of referencing it now. But do you know, it was funny because that limited edition tag, or the Hoya, the Ortavia that they redid with the thing. Michael actually took a picture of it, but if you remember, Chris, that was limited edition 18 months ago, and we've commented on the past, like, how was that not sold out yet? Possibly because it's way overpriced for what it is. It's nearly $7,000 or something. But I mean, that's a beautiful one, and the vintage Hoyas that I've reviewed, they're a top class. I love it when Tag do the Hoya reissues. So that was the first story. So my wife's actually, it's funny, my wife's got an Apple Watch that she uses all the time, but also a Rolex, and she got a Rolex years before I got one, and a Mega.
So she loves it. Does your wife wear one on each wrist, or does she just do either? She doesn't. Either or?
She's got a good reason for wanting one, because at work she can't have a phone on her. So she's obviously looking at the text and stuff. But
it makes sense. Yeah,
it's funny. Not to go on about the Apple Watch, but I was in the Apple Watch store, and they tried to reinvent the rubber strap, didn't they? If you've seen their rubber straps that they have, it kind of clips and then folds under. And the guy's like, oh, this is revolutionary. And you only have to watch YouTube for 5 minutes or speak to anyone that's ever gone swimming with an Apple Watch. That is like the worst band that you can have on a watch. As soon as you dive in the water, boom, it's gone.
Yeah, it grabs the tag on the side.
That's how people are losing them, because it's only the one thing that Apple reinvented that they didn't do a great job of was the rubber strap. Or the rubber bracelet. And
you can get them. I was looking, and you can get the same style for modern watches. And I was like, no. Like, I want the strap, the Apple Watch strap on the, on the priceless chronograph.
Let me show you guys something. So this company just came out with something for the Apple Watch. Amazing straps. If you guys haven't had a chance to check them out, that have a lot of their silk cloth straps, on my regular watches. But let me show you what they got going on.
Tricky one to do that sailcloth, isn't it? The amount they fray around the holes really badly.
Oh my god, you've seen them, right, Sam? You've seen Artham? No,
I don't think I have, mate. No.
All right, man. Well, this company's doing some things, right? So what they did is really interesting. So what they did, they took their regular cell cloth strap, which, by the way, you could just use on any 20 millimeter watch. But what they did is really interesting. They got these little keepers. They probably don't want me to show this or do this, but basically you just put them in, snap them in there with a little tool. And basically it becomes, part of your Apple Watch. But these are amazing, man. And again, if you just have a Apple Watch and a regular watch, you could take these off and then you just have your regular strap. But these are awesome, like really, really. But $116 or $100 and something dollars, they're a little up there, but they're definitely worth the price.
Oh, no, fair enough.
Yep.
And to show off a little bit.
Oh, do it, Chris.
So that's what you're talking about?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so Campionato Club, we have them too, where so you can do the, and we got the spring bar lever.
That's cool, man.
And
Yeah.
pop them right on there. It's
I need
great.
this contains a paid promotion.
Oh yeah, exactly. Suddenly,
until I work out how to do it on the live stream, you'll have to show up a little bit of paper. Actually, Chris, talk about it. We never talk about Campionato Club, do we? Do you want to? You give yourself a little plug. I mean, we're live.
A little bit.
So
I know.
what
Yeah.
is it? I'm sorry, guys. I'm out of the loop. So school me. You're schooling me. Not
All right.
The audience.
Well,
Yes.
Sam's gonna pull it up on the web. That's the easiest way to do it. So,
All right, cool, man.
I'm a as we all know, I'm a watch nerd, but I'm also a car guy and into racing and rally and all of the old liveries like Martini and Gulf, etc. And I found that Sam's trying. There we go. I found that there wasn't a good place to get like this collection of old liveries for automotive and racing. And so then I found a company that would actually make a custom strap. So that's bottom cool. Left, that Racing Passion, that's based on the Porsche Rothmans livery. And so I got them to make, I had a company make this, so this is a cool, unique design for Campionato Club. And, yeah, so it's just a little little side hustle that we have. But
I love the name Campionato Club. So Campionato means championship in Spanish.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
That's
same
awesome,
as in Italian. Yep. Same as in Italian. So that's the champions. Championship club. So
I'm sure they pronounce it differently.
Oh yeah, it's Campionato. Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Hey,
I've got
great prices, by the way. Anybody watching this? These are amazing prices for the colorways. You did a good job putting this together, man.
Yeah. Nice little collection, and so we're I'm always looking to add new stuff. I'm trying to get some sort of leather, sort of like a rally strap or a little more dress watch style, but it's difficult. We sometimes talk about import, export, and shipping stuff and things like that on the show. And yeah, it's like I'm terrified of doing leather because like nylon's plastic, so you can just be like, oh, it's nylon, But like once you do leather, then you have to like declare where this came from. And
well, I got a local guy here in NorCal. If you want to talk after the show, we could talk. He manufactures his own leather straps. Amazing work. They're all bespoke leather straps. I don't have one handy, but yeah, man, he does some amazing stuff. Cool. So you may be able to talk to him. So.
I wonder if I can show a few of these. I wonder if I show on one of these if I can show people's chats. Oh, there we go.
Those are sweet. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks.
Nice.
So I'll just click a few ones as we go through. Well, let's kick it off with another story, and this one, I don't know how I didn't know that this was a thing, but apparently you guys might know this better than me. Did you know that Seiko ran a fan competition? Yeah.
No idea.
So people picked 16 million people apparently voted for this watch. So they've recreated what looks like a Pogue, but Watch Pro. Apparently 6 million fans voted for a winning design of a custom Seiko 5. But apparently that the gold is a very, very rare gold because Seiko's only going to make 2,021 of them. So that all the gold has been mined in the world, unfortunately. So Seiko can only they got the last nugget,
the last of it. Yeah,
the last nugget. But I mean, it looks the business that, doesn't it? The gold. Obviously, it's like the nice. Pogue a lot.
Yeah. So this actually is like a throwback for me. So. couple of years ago, I was on a watch modding forum, and someone was looking to do this exact thing, like a three-hander.
No way, really?
That looked like, yeah. So I'm like, wait. So I've seen this sort of design where they made like a three-hander that looked like a Pogue. That same thing they found like the gold sunburst dial. So I mean it's a super unique colorway. This is one of those you love it or hate it kind of thing. It's very
Absolutely.
Seiko. It's very Seiko.
100%. So I got a 19, not the same kind of colorway, but I got a 1960s Seiko 5 Actis with a
right.
salmon dial, all original right here. So that is very kind of, it's striking. It's striking, especially with the Pepsi bezel right there. I mean, it's different. It's different, you know.
60. Where was the? I want evidence. I want the links. Where were the links for this? Did robots vote in this poll?
Yeah, so 16 million.
16 million.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you'd really have to. I guess would you really have to know your Seiko to know that was a vintage design, or do you think just people thought it looked cool? I mean, because it does look cool.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, you got to understand that the Pepsi bezel is a huge thing for like Rolex, right?
Yeah,
so
true. Yeah.
And then as far as the dial, well, that I don't know.
Yeah. It feels. So in some ways, it feels strange that like the public would pick that, and then in other ways, it feels like that's the standard Seiko. Like everybody would pick that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I don't know whether people really understand the history of the Pogue, but yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. And Michael just commented that he did see that, but that flew under the radar. I don't remember. I mean, Seiko's really poor at doing social media marketing anyway. I think they're getting better, actually. To be honest, I can't.
And 16 million. That's like more people that watch the Olympics. Yeah, like that's a ton of people. Well, that's like crazy amount of people, but.
That's actually going to be a nice segue into another story that I got sent an email by. Did you get the email by Omega? They've also been doing an Olympics campaign, and they did this watch where this was the bottom three. They kind of mashed this up, and I was like, why have they released a new 3-dialed Speedmaster that we don't know about? But these are the Olympic watches, the Tokyo ones, and I remembered that there wasn't a Speedy in there. But if you look down, I don't know if they just released this week, but they have released a Speedy. It's a bit deceptive because it's actually only a bicompax.
Oh, right. So it looks like yeah.
But they made it look like it was a 3.
Right, where's my third dial?
Yeah, so I actually thought they did a pretty good job of the.
Go back over there, Sam. Doesn't that to the right, just by a quick glance, not that, but the other half picture, doesn't that look like a Daytona when you look at it, just real quick?
If you hit right again.
Yeah, hit the right, not.
Oh, this here.
That one, so just real quick.
A little bit.
It kind of looks like a Daytona a little bit. It's crazy.
Yep. Try.
Yeah, I actually think this flew under the radar for me. I mean, this looks pretty cool. I mean, they want a pretty penny for it. It's like $8,500 or something.
This is Olympics, or is this not associated? It's just a racing chronograph that they sell.
I can't find an association with the Olympics for this one. So it hasn't, because you're right, Chris, because a lot of them have Tokyo Olympics engraved on the back, won't they? But I don't quite know. It's a really good looking
it looks great. Do
you know what's a little bit naughty? Do you remember the racing one used to be the cheap Omega, didn't it? That used to be a way of getting into a Speedy for like $2,000, didn't it, at one time? It was even more affordable than the Speedy Reduced, I think. At one time, it was like like yellow on the dial. It was its own separate thing. So you could get into it, but now they've obviously used the name for this coaxial one.
That's it.
I mean the coaxial movement is great, but I don't. I think their prices are. I mean, I don't know what you can get. What's the cheapest coaxial you can pick up? Like, that's it's getting up there. It's getting up there in the.
That's interesting.
In pricing. So, yeah. Disappointed sad that they didn't have a chronograph, Omega Olympics chronograph. That's because they usually can do some cool stuff there.
Yeah, they don't know. I don't remember them do. Somebody, I'm sure, will correct me, but they never do an Olympics Speedmaster. I don't think I've seen an Olympics like the bullhead that they do, and I'm sure they did maybe they've done a chronograph, but that's
I feel like last summer Olympics they did
Ocean.
Yeah, I feel like the Super Ocean. Yeah. I feel like last summer Olympics they did a 3-hander and a chronograph.
Well, we can actually tell that because you can still buy the Brazil ones.
Oh,
you can still actually buy the I think
those are the
Rio.
Five,
sorry, I'm
the
sure.
Rio, the 5-color ones where they did the.
Yeah, let me just see if I can find it because this it actually I remember seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
These Aquaterras, you know, I mean, I love the look of an Aquaterra, but you can Chrono 24. People are knocking them out for quite affordable prices. I mean, this is my all-time favorite, and you never get a deal on this one. The 15,000 Gauss. I mean, they're all 15,000 Gauss now, but that was originally the original anti-magnetic one that they had. Let's see if they've got the Tokyo. Oh, it's only the Tokyo one. But,
yeah, they might have pulled that now that it's.
Do you know? I think it's in. Sorry, I'll come off this in a bit because it's a bit boring for people watching. But I think they used to have like a novelty section, didn't they?
Yeah. And I mean, I can say so. My wife is a super fan, Olympic super fan. So if there's one that I've always had my eye out is it's a nice, nice colorful Olympic piece. So I would consider it in the future for sure. Yeah, we consider it in the future for sure. But
I don't know. Omega's kind of crazy when it comes to limited editions, though. It's just a little too much sometimes.
Yeah.
The ones that I really like, and actually my wife doesn't like any watches at all. She hates Rolex, she hates everything, but the one that she loves all the Snoopy editions, especially not the latest one that came out. She thinks it's cool, but the previous one, the previous gen, all white Snoopy, and he's like sleeping, and oh my god, it's so beautiful.
The current Facebook group's got them all, hasn't he?
I know the current 50th anniversary. Oh, that is so good.
Yeah,
I would just have to trade in. I'd have to trade in some serious stuff to get my hands on that.
Yeah, well, second mortgage on your house.
Well, the thing is, if you could buy it at retail, you could. I mean, they're 8.5, but you could, or 9,000. I mean, it's in the realms of possibility, but they're going for like 60,000 or something ridiculous on the pre-owned market. Omega's obviously trying to play Rolex's game, and Rolex is trying to play Patek's game.
Oh, I see Pete in the channel has he loves the limited editions.
Yeah. Pete, you did I know we said we wouldn't mention Timepiece Gentleman again, and we won't, but Pete, you did a really good Timepiece Gentleman summary. I actually reached out to you on Facebook to see it, but it was late. I was going to see if you wanted to join us on here to talk about it, but maybe next live stream we'll invite you on.
That's kind of been a blessing for all of us content creators, hasn't it?
a little bit.
It's the gift that keeps giving, isn't it?
So Kris, we, as you know, we brought Sam on the channel on our podcast, and we talked about it. I mean, that was really a small portion of what we talked about. We talked about a lot of things, but a lot of people, obviously, we sold it more as like that because that's what's trending. But I put the full hour and whatever minutes out on my channel, and it's got close to 1,000 views, not quite there, like 700 something. But my boy P.Ross, he was supposed to be on right now. For whatever reason, the algorithm really liked his clip, and he's almost at 4,500 views on that. Nice. So I'm like, that's crazy, because I mean, people love drama, right? It doesn't matter
a little bit. Genre. Yeah. It was. I mean, we opened the last show. It was just like the show was making the group was making the headlines. Not there was nothing going on from Switzerland or any sort of watch drama. It was just like actual us drama.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're on their hiatus, aren't they? Now we'll have to see what they come back with. But
you know, the most interesting thing, Sam, I've had people defend them on our video and say, no, the OPs, and there's something about the auction you don't understand. And I'm like, what? Like, how can people still be defending these people, right? It just doesn't make any sense, So
yeah. So cheers, Michael. I'm going to search for Rio on Omega's website and just see if I can pull up those. Oh, you're spot on. You're right. Let me just show you guys.
Yeah.
So this is what I was fumbling to find, was that you can still get the Rio ones. So they did have a Speedy. They did have. They had a Speedmaster Mark II. That Speedmaster Mark II. Sorry if anybody watching this has owned it. That is the one. If you ever, this is a good question. Have you ever had a watch that you've lusted after, and then when you've tried it on, you're like, nope.
Yeah,
that was that Speedmaster Mark II for me. I wanted it for so long, and then I tried it on for my wrist. It was huge.
Yeah, that was the Planet Ocean for me.
Oh, really?
The Planet Ocean looks so good, and I just like got that thing, and I was like, "Whoa, this is a big boy." And you're just like, "Oh, this is." I mean, you have to. It just I don't know. It just didn't work for me. It didn't work for me, and it's weird because I have other like that. My Bell and Ross chronograph, which is basically a Zen 103, dual branded. I mean, that thing is 17 mil thick, and you would just think that wouldn't work, but however they did it, it works. But yeah, the Mark II. Oh, the Mark II.
Sorry guys, I'm using an SLR and it times out. So
fancy.
It overheats.
Fancy. It's how many frames per second? It's too many frames per second.
So I never actually tried a Panerai on the wrist, but I had never seen one in the metal until I went to Salco's Plaza one time, and I was walking by the Panerai store. So I was just kind of really looking at them, like right there in front of me, and I was like, holy crap, these things are huge. Who can pull this off? And I know they have different sizes, but massive.
But the Panerai actually falls into that same thing with the original Bell and Rosses, that apparently, and I've tried a few Panerais on, apparently they're crazy comfortable because they're flat on your wrist. So they actually are flat, because those original Bell and Rosses, they say that those look incredibly uncomfortable, but they're comfortable.
Yeah.
So I think actually it's more to do with the flatness of the back of the Panerai than it is to do with the actual. But we've got a question here from about here we go. Tissot or Certina. They're both Swatch brands, aren't they?
Yes, Certina is, and Tissot is. I think they both are.
Yeah, I think they both are.
Yeah,
I haven't got much experience with the old Tissot or Certina. You always hear good things about them. You never hear anybody that had a crap experience with either of the brands. I don't think. I bought mom-in-law a Tissot dress watch.
Nice.
Similar, just a nice Cartier style, but mechanical. And I found it, and it, as Jody always comments, the Tissot packaging is amazing. So it's always this presentation, for the money. It comes with this great box, and it's like, here's your warranty card and all the et cetera stuff. So it's pretty cool. I've definitely tried on a couple Tissot. I think that they're definitely like they do the Powermatic.
Put on a great t-shirt. What the heck?
It's a great t-shirt club.
It's a great t-shirt, right? It was totally involuntary. That.
Yeah, exactly. I was.
That's so funny.
TJ would know he's up.
I was gonna say, for me, Tissot almost seems so kind of like Bulova, right? They're sold everywhere, especially in department stores. So you kind of, as a watch guy, you kind of lose that I don't want to say interest, but respect, if you will, because you're like, or
the status. Yeah, like we were talking last week about the guys. Like if you see someone wearing a Rolex Daytona, 90% of the time you could ask them, you're like, oh hey, and they'd be like, they just got it. Like this is what I bought myself when I graduated business school or whatever, or for whatever reason, and that's their watch and period, and they're not into watches at all, right? But if you see someone with a like Zenith El Primero, then you're like, hey, you probably have like a 50% chance that they're like, oh yeah, I'm totally into watches. Like, yeah, this is serious.
I agree.
So I think Tissot is like that. Yeah, Certina. So, and before my last thing was that Certina not often sold here. So Tissot super common, but in Europe, Certina is super common. So curious.
And so is Mito. Yeah. So Mito, Certina, things like that. They're over here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. What I like about what Tissot did recently was they looked at what Timex was doing with the Q series and stuff like that, and then they were like, definitely like, hold my beer, and then they came out with this PRX, like
PRX.
Sit down, Timex. This is how a vintage reissue is done. This is how the 70s is done. Like, calm down.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of. It looks good, but I've heard it's a little big. It's a little big. They need to kind of maybe bring it down a little bit, and it would be a little bit better on the wrist. That's the only complaint I've heard about it. So.
Yeah,
we're getting a request for TJ's requesting some merch here. Great t-shirt merch.
Yeah, gray CW. Yeah, casual watch talk shirts. Yes.
So
we can be the band that's wearing the shirts. Perfect.
Yeah, thanks for the questions. Thanks for the questions, everyone. Another one I wanted to kind of run past you guys was Kris and I talked about this. We did a hit and miss on it, and I'm wondering, like, I just checked back today, and they've sold out of it, but the most expensive G-Shock you can buy, they've sold out of it. $5,500 for... I mean, it's got that a specialist Japanese metalwork. No, that's wrong, isn't it? That Japanese sort of skilled finish that they have on the bezel here. But could you see yourself ever ponying up the cash for $5,500 for a...
And rocking the G-Shock. Rocking the G-Shock.
What are you thinking on that one? Because they have the one, I mean, they have that style, which I actually really like. This that's 2,600, and there's a video online of them making these, and they've got this, like, you know, a dry room where everyone's in full like forensic gear. It looks like a lab, and they're actually building these chips. Watches by hand. Yeah, it's not. It looks incredible.
Yeah. So what movement does it have in it? It's obviously a quartz movement.
Definitely quartz.
All quartz.
But it's they've got the multiband 6. It's got that smartwatch link. It's solar. It's the full deal. It's their, you know, high precision quartz movement. That they have. But I like the look of it. I bought an expensive G-Shock once, and I kind of went off it in the end. I think it's, I don't know. I like the cheaper, cheerful ones a little bit more, but
that's crazy.
Yeah. So keep your questions coming, guys. Let me just see if I can so it doesn't time out. Oh yeah, somebody said I can change the settings in my Fuji. I don't know what country you're in, Matt, but this I can't do it on this one because I think unless there's a hack for it, because apparently there's a US thing where if it doesn't time out for 15 minutes, it has to be sold as a camcorder. I don't know if there's a hack for it or whatever. God. But because I looked into it myself, I wish, and there isn't. It isn't. Canon do a. Sorry, this isn't casual camera talk, but Canon do a webcam app for it, but it doesn't work properly on the Mac yet, or on my version of the Mac. So just let you know. Yeah. Well, next story we've got, chaps, is Kris and I talked about this, but Miguel, I wanted to get your view on it. Was the last Hodinkee special edition? These.
Yeah, we did a hit or miss on it.
Yeah, Unimatic ones. Hodinkee they haven't done any cheeky special. They haven't done any sort of limited editions for a while, have they? I think they got their wrists slapped with that ridiculous clock that they did.
I think so.
But what do you think of these ones?
They did the John Mayer. They did the John Mayer G-Shock right after, though.
Yeah, do you know what's funny about that? And sorry to digress on this, but the actual Hodinkee did. So they've obviously did that John Mayer one. And if you go back to their... Oh, sorry, I'm in the flipping shop here. But if you go to their latest news, they did an article on the best G-Shocks, their pick for G-Shocks. And unlike them, they didn't pick their own one, which I thought was...
Bravo.
You know, they picked a similar design one, but they didn't pick their own John Mayer
same
one.
model, but they're because it's impossible to get, and it's $1,000 on eBay. Or no, it's not 1,000. It's probably 500 or something.
It's ridiculous. So I guess where was I at the shop? I was on the Unimatic. Wasn't I?
So what are the specs on that Unimatic? What movement does it have?
Well, they used to be Seiko movements, but they've gone the extra mile and put Sellita in them now. They're sold out, of course. I don't know if they'll be coming back, but there's two industrial designers created this watch. So it's a very utilitarian design.
So let me ask you something, and I don't know if you know this. So just like Formex watches, they are using the Sellita movement, but it's a cost certified Sellita movement. That's why the Formex Essence is $1,300, but it's an amazing built watch, and it does have that cushion case. It's kind of like this really cool kind of unique patented design to them, where it contours to your wrist. It has like a suspension system, spring loaded. So I see that being $1,200, $1,300, but this, I mean,
well, you are on what is it, Hodinkee.com? Oh yes, that would be why that's $1,300.
Yeah, it's funny. Sellita, I talk about Sellita a lot on my channel because they actually shipped more in 2019. They shipped more movements than ETA. Yeah. So they originally started making, people say they were clone ETAs, but they weren't. They bought out-of-date patents for old ETA movements and then invested a lot of money in the best possible equipment you could buy for watchmaking at the time, and they started building the movements from scratch. So they actually, when ETA got their wrists slapped by the Swiss Competition Commission, that's when Sellita really took the ball and ran with it. So they make a fantastic movement, and you could argue that the equipment that they use is more technically advanced than what even ETA uses.
Yeah, from my experience with it, I've not had a Sellita that outperformed or always equal to ETA. It was no, so it, like, in my mind, having them on the time graph or having them on the bench, I just feel like it's just completely equal. Whereas the other movement manufacturers, you kind of like, oh well, it's close to, or our love to complain about Seiko movements. It's like, well, if they just did a little bit better, that kind of thing. But
well, let me ask you something, Kris. I've had a conversation with Mark from Long Island Watch, and we were talking about Swiss versus Japanese, and he says that some of the best people that he knows in the watchmaking world or whatever have told him that the Miyota 9000 series actually outperforms your basic.
Is that true?
I mean,
that's totally true. Totally true. We did some
the best Japanese one, I was saying.
Yeah, we did some experiments, and I had a who's the Los Angeles watch company?
Veya.
Not Veyer. The Seiko guys, the guys that love Seiko, that make
Notice.
Thank you. So I had a Notice with a Miyota 9000 movement in it. Just great. Yeah. They're decent, and we've commented on this. Odd, the 8000 series is like bargain budget, and the 9000 series is so much better. So it's funny when when microbrands will mix that up. They'll be like, oh, it's got a Miyota movement, and you're like, yeah, which one? Very car spec, where it's like, all right, so we got the 4-cylinder, and then we have the actual 12-cylinder twin turbo, and you're like, what happened?
It is like that. They're incredibly noisy movements. What do you think about this question that Matt just asked about why most watch people seem to diss quartz, which isn't true? I don't. I've got a Breitling B1. Seiko makes some of the highest. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but I could see what the point that you're making, but they say you've got to have a G-Shock in your collection.
I think there is some when you first get involved in, when you first get into the hobby, you have a tendency to think oh well, it's got to be this, it's got to be a mechanical, it's got to be a Swiss mechanical watch in order to have, in order to be part of the club kind of thing. A little, it's a little bit like that. And I think the more you get involved, the more we're just and Sam and I talk about this all the time. We're just and he's definitely converted me, just to be able to go in the watch box and just be like, yeah, let me just grab something that's this chronograph is just running all the time, and if I didn't wind a watch, I can just grab it and go, that kind of thing. but still appreciate the design and the style. I mean, this Citizen Eco chronograph. I love the 4. Like if you can see that, the font on the font on the 4 is great. Come on, focus.
Yeah, yes. Good question, Matt. I didn't mean that. Like, I mean, we don't diss quartz. I know what you're saying. There is forums that are definitely dead against them. And I went through a phase when you're first into watch collecting. I think when you first ever start out, when you first ever start thinking about it, you forget that they still make mechanical watches. Like you think of mechanical watches as being something from a long time ago, and the only quartz available, and then as you get into it, I went hard into a mechanical phase for sure, but I still had quartz in the collection. But now I don't know whether I've got more high precision quartz. I've got the Breitling B1, which it's a 90s one, and that's probably the pinnacle of the Breitling.
Your neo vintage. That's what we're calling it. By the way, 90s. Neo vintage. 90s. Because I mean, it's like that's 30 years old now.
yeah, and it's still going strong. I've got that. And then you've got the 9F quartz from Seiko, and then of course your favorite Kris Zinn with that oil-filled quartz watch that they overtalk.
Yeah, the UX. Yeah.
Well, here's what I have to say.
In quartz.
Here's what I have to say about, my opinion on why I think most watch people, including myself, sometimes do diss quartz, which, by the way, I do own a few quartz watches in my collection, Seiko and Casio. So I do love those watches. But to me, it's almost like when you're driving an automatic car versus driving a manual car. Yeah, is it practical to drive an automatic car, especially in LA traffic? Yeah, of course. You'll be an idiot not to admit that.
Right.
But it's boring. It's boring. I feel like my soul and my manhood just left when I'm driving an automatic car.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The cheaper quartz, we're not talking about like the quartz fashion watches,
right?
For sure. Where you're going into Gucci and you're spending $1,000 on one that's got a $20. What Shinola's doing is absolutely outrageous. Putting Ronda quartz movements in that are pennies on the dollar. They're like a 30 quid movement, and they throw it in a case, and they're charging people $750 for the pleasure.
Yeah. And to continue your car analogy, just like that, we're back around. So now, like you can't get all the new supercars, because no one can drive manual, have the dual clutch, the dual clutch, and then all the new Porsche stuff for the emissions. You actually get better performance out of the PDK automatic than you do the manual, and so because the car, like the emissions regulations, whatever. So just like we're back around, and we're just like, all right, I guess we're driving. If we're old men driving automatic cars, fine.
Well, one of the allures of romanticism, if you will, of automatic watches or mechanical watches is that you yourself are powering this little object, right? So to think, if you get an heirloom from your grandfather or father, to think that their movement, their soul, when they were working, when they were doing whatever, was actually powering this thing, and now it's your turn to kind of run that job, and then your son or your daughter is going to continue that, as opposed to, well, I'm going to change the battery on this, and then the battery basically
that's my grandfather's Timex. It's not an automatic, but you're right, and I still have memories of him winding it, and then he always used to keep it in his top pocket. So you're right, Miguel. It still has, and now I've just dropped it.
Now it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. No, it dropped it on a pad. So you're right. There is that romance around it, but yeah, it's funny, especially for people that aren't into watches, where you can sort of say, well, yeah, you could buy a $10 quartz and it would be more accurate than $100,000 Rolex. But it's not about that.
But we've all been in. I mean, I love watch spotting, and you'll just look and you just see the sweep. Is the second sweeping? Is it ticking or sweeping? Like you just look over and you're like, oh, you're like,
it's ticking.
Yeah, so right, you're like, oh, jeez.
Well, no, I mean. I don't know. I mean, looking at the case back too, right? I mean, look at Watch Finder, right? The videos. If they do feature a quartz movement, of course, it will be like a 9F or something that's really nicely finished and something super expensive. But even the most entry level, a 7S to 6 movement, you look at it and it still looks cool with all the little gears going and everything. It's just something about it. It's not
Yeah.
so much that we watch people are saying, "Oh, it's quartz is garbage," because the aesthetic could be beautiful and the
Right.
technology, the eco drive. I mean, it's amazing, but it just doesn't touch your soul the same way as
Right.
a
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
that's off by 10 seconds.
That
You know?
mechanical, that romanticism for mechanical things is totally fine. I'm totally here for that.
There you
I
go.
would say that there's certain watches that, you know, they probably need to be in quartz for their actual function. So any watch that's military issued would probably need to be quartz, or anywhere where the watch is a, you know, precision, where you actually need the time, like a nurse for. Well, no, that's not true, is it? Because Luke, who's a works in a ER, he has a mechanical watch, so it's probably not technically true. But yeah, I'm excited about what Seiko are doing with quartz. I mean, and of course, the king of all of the movements, the spring drive, is the hybrid, isn't it, between the two? It's non-battery, but it does have a quartz.
Right.
You know, it's regulated by
and still powered by a rotor. So
Right. It looks cool though. I mean, have you seen it? It looks
so
cool.
good.
oh, it's
I
so
love
good.
one.
I've tried a bunch of them on. They're great. They're great.
Well, that Prospex LX as well, the dive watch, I think that is one that I don't know what I really like it. I think it's it's the best version. It doesn't look exactly like a turtle, but it's arguably the ultimate turtle, or the ultimate marine master that you could ever buy, is the one with the spring drive movement in it. I don't know if you can recall these off the top of your head, Miguel, but I'll just pull them up. So these Prospex LXs are Seikos,
nice.
non-grand Seikos, but they have the spring drive movement in them.
Right.
This green dial and this black one, I think, are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Still pretty great prices. Oh, the GMT, I've seen that in person. It's really nice. It's sharp. It's sharp.
Mark at
It's
Long
crazy.
Island Watches. This is his personal watch, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves that thing.
Yeah.
But people may have an issue just because it's a Seiko on the dial and it's so expensive. And then at this point, you would argue and ask, what's the difference between GS and Seiko? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. See, I whereas I feel like I feel like it's like people in the know. You're just, like you are. No one's going to point this out unless like you're in a watch club, and then everyone's going to know it's the same. Everyone's going to know it's got the Grand Seiko movement in it. So.
Now the finishing, Soratsu finishing, if I remember correctly, Mark saying that it has like Soratsu finishing, I think.
Yeah, the polishing.
The polishing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So again, what's the difference?
Right. It's it looks like $3,000 cheaper, so we'll take it.
Yeah, I don't think there's definitely, and it's got those beautiful marine, or like old school Marine Master, similar to Marine Master hands.
Yeah,
on there as well.
I tried. Oh, sorry, I was gonna say I tried the Grand Seiko Diver on a couple of years ago. It was very close to picking that up. And I should have, because the prices of them are.
But do you think
ridiculous.
the siziness will put you off because maybe it's a little too big?
No. So I tried the Grand Seiko Diver, and then I tried the Marine Master Diver, and the Marine Master is this big beefy watch. So the size was okay. The size was all right.
Interesting. Okay.
I forgot that I got that Omega X33 as well, which of course is quartz.
Yeah. Again, for a diver too. Like I expect, like I don't know when, like with the, like a perfect example, the Seiko Turtle. That's 44 millimeters, but you don't, because the lug to lug is so narrow. It's not. It's a big beefy, especially if you like have it on a bracelet. That thing is like, 6 pounds or whatever. But like, if you're going for it, like it's a big beefy dive watch, and you're like, cool, that's what I want. It's very like that. If you can pull off the like Panerai, then that's the look you're going for, and you don't really care that it's like 46 millimeters. So
this is the one that I love. This spring drive
so
one.
good. So
wow, a dial, man.
Yeah, it's stunning. These dials in person. There's if anybody's ever in Vegas, they have the Horologio, the one that's in the Venetian. They have all of these Grand Seikos. Also, I'm in Orlando. There's here in Winter Park, the AD, the Orlando Watch Company. He has all the Grand Seikos in there as well. I think he struggles to shift them, because I've been in there a couple of times, but he's got one that they polished. I don't think it's this one, but it's titanium case and titanium bracelet, but you wouldn't know it to look at it in the case. It's polished like it's steel. It looks
a lot of them are titanium, and they're polished up. This one's the one striking thing about this is the color of the hand, the second hand and the spring drive hand. It makes it look so modern. It's like it is a dress watch, but it just gives it that like you know it's from the future kind of thing with that color. Like if they had made that, if they made the second hands like just silver, gold, whatever, they just matched it.
Nice. Is that
it wouldn't stand out. It looks like it is. Yeah, that's the Grand Seiko high beat movement, not the wait.
No, it's a spring drive because it's got the power reserve. It says spring drive on the dial.
Oh, okay. You had us for a loop there.
If they ever have that power reserve, they're spring drive.
Right. Yeah. Go back to the picture of the movement, Sam.
It's there you go. So it's hidden.
Okay.
Spring drive bit is hidden.
Okay.
Under the
yeah, it looked a little. I was like, wait, what? It was because where the rotor was. I was like,
Yeah, I don't know if there's another one. I mean, he could have. Cool. This is the reason why we all bloody wear white gloves, is because you can see he's got his fingerprints all over this thing.
Yeah, totally.
So, have we got any more questions coming on the live chat? We've got Pete's pointed out that Prospex and Grand Seikos are both brands within the Seiko group. Yeah, that's right.
Correct. Yep.
Question: you buy a 3-year-old watch from a grey market seller, would you take it for a service in say 2 years, or wait for it out of the recommended 5 years? I would say never service a watch unless there's something wrong with it. That's my view, but I don't know what you guys think.
I would say get it to put it on a time grapher. If you don't have a time grapher, get it to a place that can check it. Yeah. And then if it looks like it's running well, I wouldn't service it. I would just, if it looks, if it's got a good amplitude and it's fairly accurate, I'd let it be.
Because even the high-end stuff, they say if it's running fine, this is what my Omega Speedmaster, which I sold, I had that for 12 years and it had never been serviced. It was from 1996 and it had never been serviced. And the reason why is because it was running absolutely fine, and also when Omega serviced them, they replace all the worn out bits. I know a lot of people are like, well, it's wear and tear on the movement, but that's what the service is. They'll replace those parts for you. So they replace the hairspring and so on it, and they got it running to, I think, plus 4 seconds a day. But I that's the only high-end luxury watch that I'm a bugger for selling them, so I don't keep them that long. But that's the only high-end one that I've had serviced. The more of the problem is people who buy vintage and can't get them serviced because the parts are either, this is why if you're buying vintage, you want like ETA or something like that, or at least a brand that's around, because otherwise you just have to cannibalize another watch in order to repair them. Servicing old Seikos is worthwhile doing, but it's quite difficult. There's only a few people like Spencer and a few, I think there's a guy in the UK now, but they take months and months and months to repair them, and then they're cannibalizing other old watches.
And even like stuff from the 90s. I mean, it's just like, and certain brands, it's hard to get parts and pieces for, and you just have to.
It was interesting that Hodinkee was running such a big push for like Universal Genève, whatever you want to call it. But again, I mean, if you get one of those and it doesn't run well, I personally don't know if there's parts available or if anybody can still get parts from them. I don't know.
Beautiful watches. And Harris, they're big on the old Universal Genève, aren't they? I forget the name of the
pole router, Steve, whatever Pennington router. I don't know, the guy that they just make a huge push. If you want to get into something good, we recommend that. It's like, how can you recommend something that could potentially not be serviced? That's interesting,
Yeah,
and it drove the prices way up. When
right.
Got into collecting it, wasn't that expensive now.
I think when I first started going in, everybody was hot for an old vintage Omega. Everybody was hot. You had to have an old vintage Omega in your collection, and
that
then
one $400 you could get them for. Because I've got people messaging me all the time. What do you think of the Seedmaster? I'm like, well, that was what Omega made. Those watches. There's hundreds of them out there.
Yeah. And then you hear this, and then 2 years later you hear the horror stories. You're like, yeah, so I was washing my hands. you're like, yeah, so it rained out, and then or it'll just stop and whatever, and it's just like, and then they would go and then take it to service, and then they would get that kind of shock to be like, you picked up something that had never been serviced. It's 50 plus years old. So nice.
Yeah, because those are the two things that scare me when looking at vintage, or the two things that I avoid. The Omega Seamaster, the one that looks like a dress watch, because I think you have to do a lot of research to get a good one. And I would never buy a Vietnam era issued watch that was Hamilton, Jaeger LeCoultre, Vacheron. You see them all printed on the dial, especially that the Hamilton ones are very hard to. There's a guy, Josh Wolf, he's been on the channel. We'll get him on one of these live streams. He only services vintage Hamilton, and even he gets nervous at those military issued ones, even though the Hamiltons were, just because a lot of them were bashed around, and I think some of them had plastic cases, didn't they?
And also, like, in that era, you have to remember, like, we were building these as fast as we could build, bombers, and as fast as we could build, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's that, yes, it's a military watch, but it's like, we're just pumping these out as fast as we could. So yeah. But
what's interesting to me is how we went from back in the days, watches really were tools, and that's all they really were, right? I mean, some brands have always been the luxury, whatever, men's jewelry or women's jewelry, but nowadays, man, it's like watch prices are insane. Like everything across the board is just crazy. It's like, why did we get into the hobby so late?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, like, in another 10 years, we'll be like, oh, good, I'm glad that I bought that Rolex OP. Well, it's the same with anything, though, isn't it? I mean, we just bought a house here in Orlando, and the house prices are crazy, but they're cheaper than what the equivalent would have been in California. So I suppose it's kind of things and roundabouts, isn't it? But,
True.
I want to shout out to looks like Matt's got his dad's 1942.
Yeah, that's really
Omega.
cool, isn't it?
But definitely take care of that. Take care of that. Be careful. But that's great.
Yeah, and Matt, don't spook yourself if if it's losing or gaining within a reasonable time. Don't worry about that. It's the amplitude, isn't it, Chris, that you got to worry about.
Amplitude, and then I think a lot of people put it on the, again, like, when you first get into mechanical watches, you put a vintage watch on a time grapher, and you're like, okay, it's plus 15 seconds, and you're like, okay, yep, it's doing its thing, and like, check a look at the amplitude, and have you hopefully have a experienced watchmaker there and can kind of keep track of it, but if it runs.
And something that I learned off Paul Thorpe's channel is that apparently, if you go to Omega or Rolex, they will try and bring it up to current standards with modern parts if they have them. So you can ask for something called a historically sympathetic restoration. So, and then you get them to agree to it before you send it. So if you want to keep the hands, you want to keep the dial, which is an absolute imperative if you've got a vintage Rolex. Don't let Rolex, because
it'll look like a brand new 1600, like 5 digits.
You want to keep those, because the thing is, especially the aging of the loom, a Rolex is more valuable if the loom on the hands and the loom on the dial have aged the same color. It's amazing. Like, if you've got like the loom a different color than the hands, then it's thousands less. Or if you've got what they call crazing, which is where the old lacquer used to crack. If it cracked consistently like porcelain, then it's very valuable. But if it only cracked a little bit in the corner, then it's. I learned this at Bob's Watches, actually. From one of their Rolex valuers. Right. When I used to go into Bob's Watches, it's fascinating that this what would scare me about vintage Rolex is that you really have to know. I mean, I've got a bit of show and tell, actually. So I've been reading this vintage Rolex book, but one thing I've totally forgot to show you guys. We were talking about Apple Watches before, and if you go into the Apple Watch store, have you seen this that they give you?
Oh.
So what you do is you basically open this bad boy up like this.
Oh, on the stream.
Yeah, I'm opening it live on the stream.
Okay.
It's a wrist measuring thing.
Sizing guide.
Yeah, you stick it on your wrist and then wrap it round. Like you'd never see that at bloody Rolex, would you? Or anything? It's like, well, how big's your wrist? You're like, average. But I
feel like if you're there at the boutique, I'm sure they could tell you. I'm sure they could measure your wrist. But yeah, they're handing out little straps. It's like IKEA
Apple.
for measuring furniture.
Exactly. Apple's like, how can we improve this wrist measuring thing? Well, we'll just invent I'm sure it's something.
Display. That's great. Does it have little, like, is it in centimeters, meters, millimeters? What is it?
Inches. Yeah.
Oh, inches. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
As long as they don't have those in the adult store that you go into.
Oh. Yes. I think between
that
here
is in
and
centimeters.
Here is about 13 inches between these two.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah,
some sort of translation problem there. That's funny.
I told the guy in Apple. He's like, "Oh, what's your camera do?"
It's interesting. It's interesting to like. This is a classic how technology companies solve regular problems that like other industries have had for millions of years. And I'm just like, why would you do it like that? And they're like, well, we just figured, nobody even know what their wrist size was. So we just, hand out these things to everybody. And you're just like, well, okay. Yeah. Classic. That's like a classic, IT trying to solve a problem that, like you just measure them. It's fine. They'll know what it is. It's fine. And then plus, are they making, now hold up. Are they making like any sort of custom size metal bracelet for the iWatch?
Well,
or the Apple Watch?
They have different lengths of the rubber. They'd have different lengths of that rubber strap that fails, and also they make now a strap that is rubber that is just one piece, and they also make a pearl-on. So the pearl-on looks awesome, but it cost me $100 to get it on my to get my wife's. But that's all. It's non-adjustable. So they have.
Oh, I see. So it just comes that size.
It just it comes in different.
And snaps on.
It comes in like a 1, a 2, and a 3. So
okay. Oh, all right. Kudos to them then. I can't because I'm thinking like how valuable. What use would this be in the Casio store? Where you're like, it has little holes, guys. You can just pick which one you want.
Yeah. Matt's just asking me if he wants to look at a picture of my X33. Yeah, if you join the Facebook group, I've actually been trying to sell it as well. Not that you have to buy it, but just as an FYI. And Matt also asked if we ever get over to Nashville. I have been to Nashville a few times, but not just for work. So, but anyway, any other subjects, guys? We've kind of gone an hour and 12
just
minutes.
A bit.
It's been a lot of fun.
We're gonna do
we just talked about a lot of things.
Yeah, that's good. We'll stream all night. 3 hours. Oh goodness.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
We'll definitely. Thanks everyone for joining. There was a lot more people that were on than we were expecting.
Yeah. It's a good discussion. That was great.
Yeah, we'll probably there's 22 people currently watching, and we'll probably do another one. Let us know if this time works okay for you guys. It's like sort of 9 o'clock East Coast, and then it's 6 o'clock for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah. We're still ready to party. We can still go out.
yeah. I'm knackered.
We're gonna stay up. Sam's got a nap. We'll be back with Sam. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, guys, we really appreciate it. Should we end it there and then?
Yeah, I think so.
Our first inaugural live stream, and then we'll look to do one maybe next Friday or another day that's convenient for everyone.
Miguel, great meeting you. Great
meeting
chat with you.
Chris. Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can have you on the podcast. Well, both of you on the podcast and do our thing. It's not live, but we can still have a lot of fun.
It's all good. Yeah, it's all good. All good. It's great.
Pete's all right with that time. All right, guys. Really, really appreciate it. And we'll end it there. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.